Our next presentation is revisiting the role of the white cane for congenitally blind children. Marie Claire Schleck, along with Robert Enzenauer and Grace Ambrose Zakin, are going to present this. The presenter, Mary, is a sophomore at the United States Military Academy. She's a biology major and pre-med student. She aspires to serve her country as an Army physician. In her free time, she enjoys running, hiking, and snowboarding, and spending time with her family. You're up.
Good morning. Thank you for that kind introduction. First, I'd like to thank you all, the Cogan Society, for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to present on this topic. And I'd especially like to thank Dr. Enzenauer in the back of the room for inviting me to submit this abstract and for introducing me to Dr. Ambrose Zakin and her work as well. So the purpose of this presentation is to highlight the oversight in patient care that is consistently disadvantaged, congenitally blind, those with a congenital mobility, visual impairment, or blindness throughout history. So over the course of history, humans have adapted tools to assist those who are blind in their daily lives, including canes and service animals. The Peoria Lions Club developed the first white cane with a red band in 1930 after their president, George A. Bonham, observed a pedestrian attempting to cross the street with a short black cane. So they added the whiteness and the red strip at the end. And in the aftermath of World War II, many veterans who were blinded in battle were given this Lions Club cane to indicate their blindness to drivers and assist them in their daily lives. However, these veterans objected to using the Lions Club cane because it did not help them, it did not give them proper protection while they were walking, because they could not scrape the ground ahead of them, and therefore they could not locate obstacles in or around the streets. So these men had defeated Hitler and Mussolini and were now rightly afraid to walk outside without adequate tactile protection and information. So, born of necessity and invented using Army surplus items, Dr. Richard Hoover and C. Warren Bledsoe invented the long cane that we now know today and were tasked with teaching veterans to implement long cane usage in their daily lives. So the long cane's accompanying instruction manual became a graduate level course called Orientation and Mobility. And I'll play a little video here from the VA.
At the Veterans Administration Hospital, Hines, Illinois, orientation for the blind is under the close supervision and guidance of the Physical Medicine Rehabilitation Service. Here, in a well-rounded program, all the necessary medical and therapeutic services are provided to aid in the reorganization of the blind patient's mode of living. Mastering the techniques of foot travel is a long and difficult struggle, a struggle in which the entire being of the individual is involved, mind, body, and will. Some have faltered, a few have lost out, but by far the greater number have mastered this form of foot travel. A great many totally and partially blinded veterans have taken part in this learning. Men of various ages, different levels of intelligence and aptitudes. Typical of the complex problems facing the newly blind.
So the long cane was undoubtedly an excellent innovation, but this 1953 film by the VA raises the following questions. What happens to those who have faltered and lost out? Are they left with no assistive safety device? And from there, who among the blind population are the most likely to falter and lose out on the opportunity to travel independently? I point you now to the case of the blind child in the same era, the blind child who it is proven is the most likely to lose out on the chance to ever progress at the same rate as their sighted peers. The 1950s retinopathy of prematurity epidemic brought the truth of this gap in development to light. As the number of blind children in the US drastically increased, parents of blind children demanded that public schools offer proper support and that their children were educated alongside their sighted peers. Subsequently, the blind children's development could be directly observed in the same environments as their sighted peers. Now, this 1974 study on the bottom right here indicates that in some developmental measures, including sitting alone momentarily, sitting alone steadily, or rolling from back to stomach, the blind child is not far behind their sighted peers in development. These factors share a commonality. The the child is low to the ground or stationary. The same study indicates that regarding factors which challenge a child to orient themselves or become mobile, the blind child is months behind their sighted peers. But there appears to be an exception to this trend, which is the factor of performing stepping movements while walking with hands held. So perhaps a blind child that is given assistance while walking is on par with their sighted peers. So here's another video.
This teacher is introducing Janie to her new room before the rest of the class arrives. It will take her many days to learn careful learning of the order of familiar points on the journey, remembering that steps follow doors. Many simple techniques have been developed that can be taught to a blind child. These techniques are designed to help the child move with less effort and more grace. Here, a special instructor in mobility is teaching a simple but effective technique to make travel easier. She is using several skills: location of shrubs and hedges by the echo of her footsteps, the terrain underfoot, and, as she learns, she protects herself with her arms.
So baseline O&M techniques were implemented at many schools by 1966, yet children were not deemed ready to use the long cane that their adult counterparts were. Instead, it was understood that children must learn to walk before they begin to orient themselves safely. So the blind child is taught to memorize their environment, and they are therefore confined to the spaces that they know, and therefore lose the independence that their sighted peers are embracing at the very same age. Furthermore, this form of memorization is still not advantageous for the child in terms of safety. As we see in the video, echolocation can't locate drop-offs or other things that are blocking their way. So in this 1963 to 1966 orientation and mobility demonstration project, 50 teenagers, 25 males and 25 females from grades 8 through 12 were assessed on their abilities to learn the orientation and mobility skills. They were ranked in comparison to their peers. While some participants, like Adolf, whose score sheet is located on the left side of this screen, were able to expand their sphere of unsupervised movement, as they say in the report, others, like Cleo, whose score sheet is pictured on the middle slide here, did not display sufficient intelligence to profit from further orientation and mobility instruction, so she was dropped from the program, in their very words. So Cleo, a 12-year-old, who after 81 hours of O&M instruction did not display sufficient skills with the long cane, was dropped from instruction and therefore left with no form of a protective assistive safety device. What is she supposed to do? So in dropping participants, they left anyone unable to demonstrate the stamina, motor skills, or intellect necessary to learn the skills of a long cane with no protective assistive safety device. And instead of providing another solution for this group of children and young adults, they instead concluded erroneously that the congenitally blind child lacked something that was necessary to use a long cane. They lacked the visual memories of their environment because they had never been able to see. Their conclusion was something was wrong with the child, not that something was wrong with the tool that was given to the child. Like I said, no alternative safety device was proposed. So for the past 60 years, congenitally blind children have been put on the path to safety of learning to use the long cane, instead of simply being made safe by effective safety tools to help compensate for their disability. So a congenitally blind child is considered to have an MVIB, which is a mobility visual impairment or blindness. A mobility visually impaired child can respond to visual stimuli in their environment, but lacks adequate vision to avoid collisions, while a blind child cannot respond to any visual stimuli. So for the congenitally blind child, it is not simply a matter of orientation and mobility in their surroundings. We must ensure that the blind child can practice safe mobility. Safe mobility is the result of both visual and tactile preview, and where the blind child lacks visual preview, we must therefore give them enhanced tactile preview. So this first child is 34 months and blind due to stage 5 ROP. He lacks any enhanced tactile preview in this video as he does not use a mobility tool. He is clearly unable to safely move independently and falls behind his peers, as you can assess the number of steps he takes per second in comparison to the children his age. It says in the video that he prefers to walk holding on to someone rather than walking independently. Now, this second child is 38 months and has an MVI due to congenital visual impairment, and he's also on the autism spectrum. So while he has been given a long cane, as seen in this video, he's unable to employ the long cane in the prescribed manner, which is tapping it in front of the leading foot.
Okay, you hold it. Can you carry it
This
to
long
the
cane is
swings?
causing more harm than help to this
Can you
child,
walk with it and
as he
carry
clearly
it?
doesn't understand how to use it. And he throws it on the ground.
Let's pick up.
So now this final video is a young girl who is 42 months and blind due to optic nerve hypoplasia, and she does not use a mobility tool. She is instead being guided by the tapping sounds made by her adult teacher. And despite the teacher's good intentions, this tapping misleads the child to hit her head on the wall. So I can play this video again to see that, her hitting the wall. So with no tactile preview to warn her of the incoming obstacle, she remains significantly unsafe. So confronted with the overwhelming data of the disadvantaged MVIB child, Dr. Grace Ambrosakin, daughter of renowned historian Stephen Ambrose, has made it her life's work to provide a protective assistive device to MVIB individuals. Dr. Ambrosakin and Dr. Mary Schleck designed the Pediatric Belt Cane, which is pictured on the left side of this slide, which has been patented in 2016. The Pediatric Belt Cane is a lightweight rectangular frame that magnetically attaches to a custom-made belt. All-terrain Omni wheels maintain 2 points of contact on the ground, which allows a child to move with ease. Each belt is made specifically for the child who uses it. So now I'll play another video.
How are you? I miss you. Bye.
Okay, let's go.
Hi.
Can you tap the chairs, Addie? Can you tap the chairs? Tap, tap, tap.
Tap
the chairs.
Hi.
There's chairs on your right.
Keep walking. Hi, you're so mad. You're so mad.
So these videos, which show side-by-side comparisons of the same children before and after using the Pediatric Belt Cane, demonstrates the exponential growth that can happen in just a few weeks or a few months for a child. And since its invention, over 1,200 children have used the Pediatric Belt Cane, and mostly free of charge as well.
How are you?
Next slide. So in 2023, at the Low Vision Conference in Denver, Dr. Enzenauer in the back discovered Dr. Ambrosakin's work and connected her to Captain Paul Chong, who's a current ophthalmology resident at Walter Reed. So Dr. Chong used a machine learning model, to analyze videos of over 100 pediatric belt cane users in collaboration with the University of Colorado School of Medicine, the NIH, and the Vision Center of Excellence to demonstrate that the pediatric belt cane improves the gait and speed of users across the board. So the graphic on the right side of the screen depicts some of his findings, which indicate that the pediatric belt cane is a promising solution to the issue of MVIB children living without a protective assistive device. So the true impact of the pediatric belt cane is the profound demonstration that the addition of a protective, lightweight, wearable buffer significantly improves MVIB toddlers' quality of life because it makes their walking safer and provides them with essential path information such as objects, drop-offs, or surface changes. Safe mobility is a medical necessity for blind or mobility visually impaired children to walk. MVIB children require a protective tactile barrier that aids in balance and provides tactile anticipatory control, and they can begin using this device around 10 months of age, which is paired with daily physical activity as well. So doctors now have a responsibility to counsel families and educators that assistive safety devices like pediatric belt canes are the best option for achieving congenitally MVIB children's developmental potential. because they allow them to move through space more safely and better informed. Safe mobility for MVIB children can work like clockwork if only we give them the tools that they need to succeed. So this graphic shows the number of hours that it's prescribed for daily usage of the pediatric belt cane per the age of each child. As you all probably know, these children need and deserve our help, and safe mobility and independence are critical to social, emotional, and cognitive development across the board. The pediatric belt cane is an inclusive solution. For too long, anyone unable to demonstrate the stamina, motor skills, or intellect, like I said earlier, necessary to learn the skills of a long cane was left with no protective assistive safety device, and now is the time to challenge that narrative. So I'd like to thank Dr. Ambrosakin, who's watching right now from Fishkill, New York, for her support throughout the past few months. I've learned so much from her, and I'm really just grateful for the relationship that we've built. I'd also like to thank Dr. Enzenauer for inviting us to submit this abstract and for connecting me with Dr. Ambrosakin, as well as Dr. Beitler, who's also watching from upstate New York, and the Department of Chemistry and Life Science at West Point for allowing Abba and I to come here and present. Thank you.
Thanks. This is a great innovation because the cane with one point, in a sense, doesn't let you put down 2 feet, and this gives you a much broader step of contact.
It seems like would be a great implementation as something that's first line for these children, for like parents who might be interested in this.
Sure. So Safe Toddles is the only manufacturer of the pediatric belt cane, but people can request the pediatric belt cane through Safe Toddles, and they have a program where it's completely free of charge for the children as long as the parents send videos of the progress that the children make throughout the first few months of them using it. And also there's methods to obtain it through like Medicaid and other forms like that. So it's pretty limitless, the number of children who can use it, because they'll just manufacture more.